Welcome back to Lucid Living. And if this is your first time, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you aboard. My name is Andrew Larkin. I'm an actor, model, performer, storyteller, breathwork coach. And today, I'm going to be your host, your guide for today's podcast episode. My friends, it's been a minute since we've hopped on here and had some nice conversations with some creative and inspiring friends. And it's been months, dude. It's been like 2, 3 months. It's been before Heavy Hitters. And it's a new year. It's time for a lot of new things to just occur and happen, and I'm really blessed to start this thing rocking off right. And we're rocking off with a brother, and I'm so stoked to dive into this conversation. He's one of the first guys I knew I wanted to bring on the podcast when I got to meet him, over these couple of months, and you're gonna get to know him a lot more. But before we dive into this beautiful conversation, let's start with our breath work. And breath is something that's been so valuable to me and something that I value so much, and it's helped me just a lot on my journey. And I'm really diving into it a lot more this year because I kind of fell off it last year. But today, right now, we're going to do a 4-2-6 breath count. So that's an inhale for 4, it's a hold for 2, and an exhale for 6. And when we exhale longer than our inhale, it channels the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body down, gets us into that rest and digest and recover state. And remember, as we inhale, we're going to inhale through the nose. And when we inhale, that belly is going to expand outwards, like you're filling up a water balloon nice and big. Super sexy, not really, but just fill that bad boy up nice and big. Hold it for 2. And then when you exhale out the mouth, that belly comes back to your center. And we're going to do that 3 times. So whether this is your morning, afternoon, or night, whether you're driving, just take this moment for stillness, listen to the breath, listen to the body, and let's do this for ourselves. So let's begin by inhaling through the nose in 3, in 2, in 1. Big inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale through the nose. Nice big belly. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. And exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you can shake the body, take a nice sip of water. We are back. We are back. We are back. Welcome 2025. Today, my friends, we have we have an actor. We got a producer, a director. He's a storyteller, and he is a fellow heavy hitter. We got Carmine Elvezio. What is going on, brother?
What is up, Larkin? Let's go.
My God,
I
dude, so
am
happy to
ready.
have you here, bro. So happy to have you.
No, thank you so much for having me, man. The second that you reached out to me, I was like, oh, let's go. We've been talking about this. I'm beyond hyped. Let's go.
Dude, I'm so stoked. We're gonna dive into all the good nitty gritty stuff, but when we had conversations and you were doing your own podcasting stuff, this is the guy. This is the guy, and I want to hear all about it, all about it, all the ups, downs, the crazy journeys. We're gonna dive through everything, but to start off the conversation, especially I always like diving into the present first, and now we're in a pretty interesting time because we just wrapped Heavy Hitters and like we're starting off a very new year. Today is Thursday. It's the 2nd of January of 2025. I'm still
Oh,
getting
yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
yeah, man. I'm getting comfortable just writing 2025. That was always like the hardest thing, like remembering to write the new year instead of the year before. But we got a new year ahead of us. So just let the audience know where you are geographically and just how you're feeling in this particular season of life.
Yeah, so right now, definitely very peaceful. I'm in Florida. I am in Delray, Florida. I'm here with my grandma. I'm here just visiting with my family just to pretty much spend the new year in with her. She needed to stay here for the holiday, and we all decided to bring the holiday to her. Came here for the Christmas, and now it's the new year. And yeah, very peaceful. It's a great time to spend with my family. I really love just everything around here in Florida. Way different. I'm from Long Island, so just around here, everything is just like you see iguanas everywhere you go. We took a walk nearby the other day. We got alligators in the backyard. That's a problem. But it was cool to see them though. We're like, that's awesome. All these different kinds of birds, and we're loving it. My brother and I are just like taking it all in, taking videos. And my grandma and Grandpa Sal, we're just like taking it all in, having fun with each other, a lot of laughs. So
Mhm.
that's been the most beautiful thing, yeah, for this new year so far. Just bringing it very peacefully and excited to go home and bring on the venture once I'm back home. But yeah, that's it, taking it day by day.
Amazing, bro. Dude, that's everything. That's absolutely everything. Alrighty. Now we're gonna dive into all the good stuff with the past. And I always find every time like I kind of connect with a new person, a new friend, I always love kind of just like diving straight into the deep end, about all the good stuff. Like I'm
Really?
and also as actors, we're always kind of studying people at the end of the day and always kind of like getting to learn as to where they came from, what makes them tick, and kind of the backstory and everything like that. So dude, I love you can put this in kind of your own words, but um, let's go all the way back to the beginning, bro. Like you said, you were from Long Island. I know you have a brother. You got a great family. What was life like for young Carmine in Long Island? Like coming up, what was your family situation like? What were you into or you not into? Like what was it like growing up, going through school, and what were your hobbies? Like all that good stuff. So you can take that any which way you want, but let us know a little bit.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I always tried to stay involved with like the arts. Growing up, I played a lot of violin growing up in elementary school. That was something that I played. It was just a hobby that I did for a little bit, but I ended up playing it so much and going to this. It was called Long Island String Festival. I played, and I was like, oh, like when I stick to something, like it actually could potentially go somewhere. So I just enjoyed everything I did. I was like, let me just go all in with it. And luckily, my parents always had my back on anything that I did and would always accompany and support for all that, which I love them for. And so, yeah, after that, or throughout that whole process, I was also playing baseball. So as I was playing, um, yeah, like baseball, I would pretty much just be like the first hitter for baseball and either get hit with the pitches or try to just get contact so the heavy hitters behind me can actually get on base and everything like that. But that was good to always get on base and always steal. That was my thing. So I always loved stealing. And yeah, I would play a lot of baseball. My family would always support me through that. But yeah, at some point I was like, ooh, because I was doing theater as well. So in elementary school, I also started in fifth grade theater. So elementary school, just a lot of like experimenting, I would say. So as I moved on towards like high school, dropped violin, and then I was like doing sports and acting at the same time. And pretty much I was like, I have to stick with one. So around like junior year, when it was time to select a college, was when I was like, okay, you know what, let me stick with acting over sports. Hopefully I got something for me and we'll see, just to try to live out the dream, that was it. So my parents have always been very supportive of everything, which is good. Uh just like big Italian family. That's the best way to describe my family. Both my parents were born in Italy. So my brother and I are both first gen, which is awesome. Just like getting to go back to Italy a few times to check out like the culture and how my grandma lives over there, my cousins, my uncles. I still got some people over there who I love. So yeah, when just seeing like the food, the way of life there compared to here, and just mending that and how they did that. Like yeah, I don't know how much you want me to go into past. I could keep going, so
Yeah,
you
dude,
let
keep
me
on
know.
rocking.
Pretty much like my father, like he came here when he was 18 and my mom came here when she was 4.
Okay.
So my dad pretty much had a little bit of a way of life being 18, working in Italy already and coming here. And so that was like a whole journey for him, not knowing his father for a few years because he was working here, my grandpa. So he can come here and just live in America. So just like a whole big thing with that. And luckily, my mom, she was 4, so she doesn't remember the process really of coming here, but she was here pretty early on,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years old. So.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. And so you said when you were at that precipice of going on to choosing a college, you were wanting to pursue the dream. I'm curious when you were younger, and you were saying you were experimenting a lot. Was that you being like, Mom, Dad, like I want to try this, I want to try this, I want to try this, or were they throwing you in stuff and seeing what would stick?
It was me trying. Yeah, but yeah, like definitely like me wanting to. Originally, like growing up, there was some, I don't know, like a commercial agency where it was on the radio. They're like, oh, bring your kid, some like Disney thing. Like, who knows? Like, I was like 3. They're like, okay, let's bring him. Let's see. So they brought me. And apparently, like, they gave me like their agency card. They're like, oh, like, you should sign up with him. But then my parents were like, nah, he's 3 years old. Like he can't even like fend for himself. What if he doesn't want to do this? So they decided against it. They're like, we're not going to do it. So it's funny because like years later, I'm like, guys, like you could have helped me out a little bit. Like now that I want to do this, like you couldn't even fetch me a bone. Like, come on now. So I always joke around with them, but no, in the end, they did the right thing because they made me choose what I wanted to do. Ultimately, they didn't. But yeah, they didn't throw anything at me. But once I got, I would say, just excited for acting. My mom would always try to see stuff on Facebook, let's just say. But I would definitely have to be the more active one for
Yeah.
sure.
And I guess the growth of starting in it pretty young and staying with it. You were doing all a bunch of things at the time. What was it that like solidified that I think acting is the one, versus the other?
Mhm,
Was it just a talent for it? Was
mhm.
it like you had mentors in it? Like was it like that one class or, what was that one thing?
I would say like so I was doing it since like the fifth grade, but just doing ensemble roles and plays, like in theater, all the way through high school. So I would say like maybe my sophomore year or junior year, like getting a lead part, and then after like seeing people's reactions, getting just people like excited, like that was just like so cool, like which is why I always want to do it. Like I don't want to do it for no other purpose but to put a smile on someone's face, someone to like be like, oh, okay, cool, like he's in this movie, and like get a smile and like be excited for the cast and the film and like everything that comes with it. Like that is like my whole purpose and like what I'd want to do for this. And like I gotta stop saying it like I keep saying it like man. Pretty much hmm, the the ultimate thing is like I don't know how to put it. Like yeah, just putting a smile on everyone's face. That's the main purpose. That's the main goal here.
Was
And
it
that was that I got it driven from just like everything around it pretty much, and I just wanted to do it. It wasn't really going anywhere at the time. It was just like me doing high school shows and stuff.
Yeah. Was there
Yeah.
like a moment that you remember? Was it like that one audience member, or like was it just getting your parents to smile, or was it like you're like a kid and like you do it for the first time and like people receive it and you start getting that like dopamine hit, initially? Was it kind
Mhm.
of like that and then that just kept propelling you?
Yeah, I guess just a combination of all that, and then it gave me an adrenaline rush like every time to just want to do it again and again and again
Yeah.
after that. So exactly that, and everyone just being supportive. That was always the main thing. Like if my parents and family weren't there and happy and enjoying everything.
Yeah. Wait, so I gotta ask you, because now you're also venturing into like film and TV, and it's a very different experience as we know, where it's like theater's so live and we get the energy and we can move people to tears and laughter and all the beautiful emotions and we can see it and witness it and it's it happening in that moment. But with film and TV, we can still do that and people can elicit those responses, but we're not necessarily in the room and we might not actually see that. So what have you found? Are you still more of like the deep love of theater, or how is it transitioning into film and TV? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, so going to college was definitely where I transitioned to working for the camera. Definitely a huge transition. You're working in theater to give a reaction to the person in the last row, as compared to the camera, you're just working to a camera right here. You have to give those real, raw, genuine emotions right there to the camera. There's no BSing it right there. It's right there to the camera. So you're right, though. There's no reaction, but sometimes with the cast and the crew around you too, there's an energy that you can feel, and everyone's still there. You still feel it. I don't know. For some reason, I it's still the same thing. It's in a different form. You're in a smaller room, but it's still there. That energy.
Mhm.
It doesn't change. So that's what I realized, which really made me happy in doing both. Like there's still that energy in the room, and yeah, just nailing something properly, working that scene over and over again, hitting that emotion, making it so raw and real, and boom, every take that you do is just for because like for theater, every live show is another opportunity to do the show over and over again. And then for a take for a film is just every time the director says cut, it's a new opportunity to just do that scene differently or again in a different emotion. So it's just another like chance to go at it. So I love that. Which is
Yeah.
why I love film more because every time they yell cut and you do another take, you get a few times to work out a scene, multiple outtakes, and then the director is the one who's ultimately the one who's going to tell the story and picks the right take.
Hmm.
So, but as an actor, you get a chance to just do that a bunch of different times. So I like it. I feel like you do more. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is the last thing I'm going to ask with theater, but there's this podcast that's amazing called the Smartless Podcast with, three of the boys. And Sean Hayes always asks, like, what is your one theater story? Like, anyone who's a theater head that hops on, he always asks, like, what's your, I think he says, like, theater horror story. But if you've ever had one of those, I'll ask that. And then also possibly, like, what is, like, that one role that you just love so much, that one character, that one performance, that one, cast that was just like that was like the epitome of like theater. You look back at like the fondest memories of theater, it was like that role in that environment.
Okay. Yeah. So the yin and the yang. So let's start with the horror. I'll start with the horror story first.
Mhm.
Um, and I love that question too, because in the moment, it's the worst thing in the world.
Mhm.
But after looking back on it, it's like, wow, you learn so much from what just happened. And like, if you actually digest what happened and look back at it and are very like, okay, that's what I did wrong. So for me, I don't know what it was, but pretty much because I've never like I'm always on my game when it comes to memorization and everything. I blanked out. Never had it happen. And so I panicked too a little bit. Like the audience couldn't tell because it was the first performance of a show. We were doing State Fair and I was the villain who came out. And as I came out to say my lines, blanked for some part in the middle. But God bless, the actor was Ben Morasso. He came in and he definitely like picked me back up. He fed me the line that was right after the one that I missed. It ended up making sense, made up for it.
Mhm.
But it was funny though. There was like a big gap the first night, and people the second night were like, "Wait a second, was there a little more dialogue over there?" So I
Mhm.
was very frustrated when it happened. I was like very upset. It was my junior year of high school, so I was like 17. So I was definitely upset in the moment. But now looking back on it, I was just like, wow, you train for it and if you're confident in it, don't stress it in the moment. But in the moment I stressed it and that was my biggest thing. I was in my head about it all. But yeah, you learn, okay, don't get in your head about it. You're the character. You could say something. And if I would have said something, I would have picked myself up. So
Yeah.
you learn from that in those moments. So that horror story though was definitely yeah, that I'll never forget, but for all the best reasons.
Yeah. I feel like the true theater actor has to have at least one of those stories, you know?
Yeah,
We've all been through
yeah,
it.
yeah. And
Did
then
you
best I would say probably ooh, it's a toss up between I like doing Sue School the musical. That was fun because it was for the children. A lot of kids came out to see that one all throughout all the elementary schools. We sold out the theater for that one. And to
Mhm.
be like the lead, I was the cat in the hat. So then
Yeah.
that was cool just to narrate the whole story for everyone and bring out that show. That was a good performance directed by my friend Dean. So that was, yeah, that was definitely the biggest one next to She Kills Monsters. I played this orc named Orcus and they painted me completely red and we had to do a bunch of stage combat. So that was really cool. Getting to do some stage combat with that. Yeah. So a toss up between those two.
Heck yeah.
So
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Now, on heavy hitters, one of the cool things that I don't think again a lot of people know until the show comes out and there's like buzz about it, but being introduced to this guy Ray Negron, who like I didn't really know his story very much, and then our director Candace gave me one of the copies of his book, and I read his book, and I'm like, dude, what?
yeah,
This guy's
Yankee Miracles. Yeah,
unheard.
yeah.
Like I think he's an executive producer on it too, and he was in our show, and I'm like, this his story is insane. This guy is just so well connected. His like the history of the work that he did with the Yankees is just mind-boggling. And you have like a pretty cool, like intimate kind of relationship with him in your own right. And I want to hear about kind of what just Bat Boy and like that experience. Was that because I know he did a lot with it. Was that a stage production of that you did?
Yeah, so it he did another stage production of it of his other each book that he did, he would tour with the book. So his last book that he did before, he did a stage production of Bat Boy with another actress, April Lee Hernandez playing Ray, and they did a whole other production. And now he brought it for Yankee Miracles. So we told the story of Yankee Miracles, and that was back in 2017. I was at a bookshop with my some members of the thespian troupe that I was a part of, and they asked me to go sing some Jersey Boy numbers, but I didn't like to sing too much. I was like, oh, I'll act, but like I don't like to sing too much. She's like, no, I need more guys. Like, I need you, please, like do this. And I was like, all right, fine. Like, you know what? Pull my leg. It was good. She was like, oh, it's for this Yankee guy. You like baseball? And I was like, oh, I do like baseball. So it worked. So it got me there. I sang the numbers, and pretty much afterwards went over to meet Ray for the first time, and I was like, "Hey, Ray, like, nice to meet you." Like, bought his book. I was like, "Can you like sign it? Like, I appreciate it. It was with my family." And he was like, "Hey, kid, like, I like your talent. Like, we'll be in touch. Like, we're doing a play." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Do you want my phone number or something?" But he was like, "No, all good. I'll know how to get in touch with you." And I was like, okay. So I thought nothing was happening of this. I was like, all right. Like he said, like, I'll get in touch with you. Like you could have took my phone number. Like I was like, what's going on here? So a few days later, he reached out to a mutual friend and had us all meet at a house. And that's when he told us that he was doing a production of Bat Boy and he wanted us all to be a part of the ensemble. But he said I reminded him of him. So he was like, I want you to play me in the production. And I was like, awesome, let's do it. And I was so stoked for it. So that was, yeah, we sang some Jersey Boy numbers in a bookshop, and that was how it just came to be. And it was, yeah, a
No way.
lot of full circle moments with Ray, and that was just cool though how that led to the production of Yankee Miracles. So yeah,
Where did you guys where was the performances with the theater in Long Island, or was that in New York, like the city, or
yeah, we just toured all over the Argyle Theater. We went to the Hostos Center. We did Uh, there's an army base out in Brooklyn. It starts with an F, I believe. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. We went to Florida. We went to Tampa. Each production that we did, actually, all the proceeds would go to an organization of someone in need, like a charitable organization, such as like someone who's maybe sick. Or one time when we did in Brooklyn, there was a story of a boy who was in a deli and he was mistaken as a mob member. And a gang went in and they killed him, thinking that he was the target that they were looking for. Meanwhile, it wasn't even him. It was just an innocent kid they killed. And so we raised money for the whole family. Um, just like someone dealing with ALS, just different situations. And that's been the most, I would say, beautiful thing about the whole thing. And shout out to all the actors because actors wouldn't make any profits off of the production because we would all make sure that the person is taken care of. So
yeah,
yeah, that's the thing about Ray. He's always so given out of his heart. So that's yeah.
that's wicked, dude. That's awesome. That's so cool.
And I appreciate you for reading the story too. I remember there was some. I was on Instagram at one point, and I'm with Ray. We're out to lunch, and all of a sudden I see you holding the book and like the photo, and I was like, oh no! I'm like Ray, look.
It was
Yeah,
I genuinely and
you're
I
not.
mean, I'm from Philly, and I was a big fan of I grew up playing baseball, and like the Yankee or the Phillies in like '09 was like my squad. But then honestly, after I like stopped playing baseball after like seventh grade, I kind of fell out of kind of love with baseball in a way. So I just wasn't like a historian into like I didn't know much about Mickey Mantle and all those guys that he was just like so close with, and it was I was like, dude, this is just wicked. And then to be able to like meet a guy who's like seen what he's seen and like gone through what he's gone through, and just like it was wicked. It was so cool. So it's cool that you had that relationship with him. um Dude, I'm curious. I kind of want to like honestly bring on a bunch of the heavy hitter guys and like have these conversations because we're all kind of, up and coming actors. We're like we talked about this earlier about this idea of, being in that hustle phase. And as an actor, we're entrepreneurs, we're like unemployed 90% of the time. So it's like we're always kind of in that hustle. But hustle
Mm.
can have like a very negative connotation to it that can lead to a lot of burnout. But with that you go into something and you're in this bubble. I look at it, I'm like in Narnia for 2 months, which even felt longer than that. And then you come out of it and you're in between gigs and you're trying to stay inspired and motivated and creative and fulfilled. while also paying the bills and like finding that next job. And that was really my first taste of trying to navigate that space in between after kind of you're on that high dopamine hit of just being on set all the time. And I'm curious how that was for you after we wrapped and we were kind of back to regular life, but then also just even like before heavy hitters or even moving forward, like what has it been like for you? What are your routines like outside of when you're on an actual production, whether that's on camera or behind the camera? How do you kind of fill that space creatively and intentionally?
Yeah. So definitely with two Italian parents, they're always making sure you got to get the bills paid every day. So that's the main thing. So working all the time. So before heavy hitters, I was working with a wedding and a photo videographer company, and pretty much just going there doing a bunch of different gigs. So that was great being an assistant and just learning, because I also wanted to always learn, because when you're acting, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And I would always love seeing the lights and the sound and what the director's doing and everything that they're doing to put it together. When you're waiting, what are they doing to put it all together? It's so cool. And I always wanted to just learn that as well. So maybe I could just help on a set in the future or direct my own. So yeah, doing working with them, it was so cool to just watch how they did everything, and then they showed me how to work the camera, how to make sure the XLR needs to go here for the sound and this and that, where all the wires go and everything. But knowing that is very important. So that was really cool. I did that as a job for a while in between gigs, so that was really nice, and they were very open to me hustling around being an actor. So whenever I had a gig, they were open to me uh, just taking a break for the time being. Uh, and on top of that, restaurant gigs. So I would just wait around at different restaurants, pizzerias, being a delivery boy. And the same thing, it was very nice to work with a bunch of different establishments who the owner had a very open heart for me being an actor. And so if I had a gig or something needed to take off, they were very open minded. I wasn't BSing them. I'm like, hey, listen, I got the job and I want to, if I can, come back right after. But I understand if you got to let me go if I'm not here for a little bit. So stuff like that. But they were all very open hearted and let me back in and no problem. So yeah, no, that's been great. So that's the main thing, just to grind. And right now I'm working at Strong Island. I'm working at Strong Island Television. And I was doing other podcasts before that with they were the Chapters Rap organization. And now I'm working with Strong Island, and pretty much it's an in-person studio. People come into the studio and there's a bunch of different prices for the different sets that they have, and people come in and tell their stories, and that's the best thing. I love just staying in it too, being able to engineer those shows. I run the photos and videos for them, so when they come in, they get to tell all their stories and bring on different guests, and I get to hear their stories as well on their interviews. So yeah, that I really love, just people constantly telling their stories and being there and getting to help produce that for people, bring
Mhm.
that out into the world, and then after that content goes over to the owner of the studio, and he gets it out to different outlets like cable, Optimum, um, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all that, Roku. So that's like, yeah, that's the thing. Just to stay busy too. That's the main thing. You got to just constantly stay busy, because yeah, just like after different gigs, like even like heavy hitters, it was so beautiful, like miss all the boys. Like I was like definitely very emotional when when it was over. I was like, nah, no way, like this is done. So when it was over, for a second, I was like, wow, I can't believe this is over. I wish I was on set instead of being X, Y, and Z. So it's just getting out of that and staying busy so you don't feel that way. But it's true. It's like, dang. I'm sure you feel the same way too. You're like, come on, I wish we were back out there.
It's a
But
mess.
it's like, hey, you gotta just move on day by day, move on to the next, and move with your head held high, and then wait for the future and opportunities like this where I was so thrilled. I'm like, oh my God, yes, let's hang out, let's talk. I don't care if it's on a podcast, I don't care if I'm driving to Philly from New York. Like, let's do it. Let's hang out. Like, come on.
Yeah,
So
dude, it's such a blessing, honestly. I think like we don't really know. Again, you can have there have been so many projects where you have the A-lister names, you have all the budget, the big studio, the big fancy gadgets and toys, and it doesn't really land, you know? And then sometimes you have
mm,
anything that like nobody knows about, but there was like a synergy and then it just kind of hits at the right time and the right audience finds it and it pops off, like you genuinely have no idea how something will be received, and that's something that we, as creatives have to surrender ourselves to. We can't like be hopelessly like pray, or I do pray on it, but like like creating expectations basically, because
Mm.
you never know how it's gonna land, and we have high hopes for it, but at the same time, if everything that like kind of just disappears and all we got were just the brothers and the people that we connected with on set, like that is an overwhelming win, and I try to ground myself just with like the little wins, because so much that kind of happens.
No,
And
that's a big win right there. So it's like, yeah.
so yeah, again, being able to connect with you and all the other guys and just having a lot more homies in New York is just, it's so dope, and I'm so blessed, and it's super cool. It's super cool that you're just energetic and stoked to do this, man. And with your podcast, did you just produce it, or were you the one having conversations with the people who would come on and share their stories?
So originally when I was working with the Chapters Rap, I would that show, the main show that we were running there was, I would say, two. We were doing Reach Out with Ray and Steve, so that was fun. Ray would bring on it was Ray, I'm sorry, Reach Out with Ray, Steve, and Robbie. And it was with Ray Negron, Steve Vaccaro, and Robbie Robinson. And pretty much Ray would bring on an ex or former or current athlete. Um Most likely in baseball, but it could have been from a different any sport. And then Robbie would bring on a musician. So Robbie Robinson, he's the musical director for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons for I believe over 50 years, and he, yeah, he just has been rocking with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons whenever they have a concert everywhere, and it's just, yeah, he's a blessing. His insight on music is just awesome. Like he always plays the Hammond organ, and just his knowledge on music is so stellar. And all the friends that he'd bring in from all like Vanilla Ice, or the list just goes on. It Every week there was always someone new. Like I have a list on my notes somewhere of all the different people they bring on. But it was stellar. There was like a show, The Blueprint with Lowe's Moore, and he played for the Brooklyn Nets and also for college coming up. I forget the college that he played for, but he would also bring on some cool guests. And for me, I only got the chance to really, every now and then, if there was like a host who wasn't there or something like that, they would ask me to come out and, excuse me, join on the podcast and everything. So I would do that. So that would be fun. There was a few episodes that I co-hosted with Ray. So that was always a lot of fun. But for the most part, I'd always engineer them, and then I would always have to talk to the guests whenever loading them in,
Mhm.
stuff like that. They wouldn't touch the technology. I would be behind the computer, run a sound check with them, make sure lighting, everything is good, the camera's set right, and then have to bring on the host and bring on the show.
Mhm.
So that was good. Yeah, like let's see. My favorite guest, probably like, I don't even know. Like it was probably Denzel Washington
Yeah.
or Phil Jackson.
Wow.
They were definitely like, yeah, and these hosts would just bring them on, and it would be crazy. Every day would be someone new, and that is like the really cool part about just engineering a show.
Yeah.
And even if it was someone you never heard about before, once you
Mhm.
are done with that podcast, like you learn so much about them.
Bro, that is so cool. Cause I saw on your Instagram posts, like photos with my boy and all these legends, these ex-baseball players, and then Frankie Valli. I'm like, dude, I saw a production of the Jersey Boys like at our Walnut Street Theater in Philly, and I'm like, dude, this guy is so insanely talented. So that's just wicked that you were surrounded by honestly like greatness, dude. And that's for me like, growing up, it was kind of interesting because I kind of got into this a little bit later. And when I was younger, like I had never seen, a quote unquote celebrity like in person, like ever until I was like 24, like 23, dude. Like straight up, like I never saw productions happening. I never saw film sets. Like that world felt so removed from me. And the only time I ever really saw these people that I admired their work was on the red carpet or on this big screen. And it was like it felt so far, they felt like gods to me. But when you're actually in the room with them and you're sitting with them and you're talking with them and you're sharing energy, it's like, no, you're just like a human. You got kids, you got a dad. Like we're not so different. You bleed red, you know. Did you get starstruck at all? Was that a thing? Like what was it like kind of navigating being around all these legends?
Man, I would say at first, yeah, the first was Frankie Valley. I was with Ray. Obviously, I said the story before how I did the Jersey Boy number to meet Ray. And so now, cut to like 4 years later, we're in Florida and we're supporting Robbie because we do the show, the podcast. And Ray was driving Robbie home. So we had to go backstage, and all of a sudden we're at a certain spot backstage. So all just go say hi. We're with a big group to say hi to Robbie. But then we go to this different spot, just myself, Ray, and Robbie. And that was I was very like confused what was going on. The security guard comes up to me, goes, "Hey kid, you can't come back here." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, my bad." And I'm like turning around, and Ray's like, "No, no, 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 like he's with me. I'm driving him home." And the security guard's like, "Oh, okay, that's all right. Like you can go in with them." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I don't know where we're going. I think we're going to the parking garage. All of a sudden, Ray brings me into the room, and it's with Frankie, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm sitting there silent, like I'm just not saying a word. And then like I'm not gonna say nothing. And but it was so nice though at the end, when he was just about to leave, went up to each other. We just said bye, and we took that photo together. We also right before, like we were eating backstage a little bit while Ray was conversating with him with his friend Aris as well. And so I have to thank Ray and Aris for I believe Aris snapped a picture real quick. But yeah, that was just that was very nerve-wracking. I was very nervous. I never at that time too, I never went up to someone that wasn't like a meet and greet. So
Mhm.
I was because my parents only took me to one or two. Well, I never really liked going to a meet and greet, but I went to one or two for wrestlers growing up. I like WWE, so I definitely went to go see Shawn Michaels growing up and John Cena.
Hell yeah.
And but yeah, I was definitely nervous, and I was trying to just think like, okay, like let's channel this energy to like, okay, now in the future, let's work with someone amazing and not be nervous. Let's just be excited to work with them and just channel that into something cool, which was awesome working with. I would say the next part, I was very excited to work with. I wouldn't say no, I was very excited to work with Louis Guzman. Louis Guzman was also like one of people I was very nervous when it was time to work for Out of Order. Nervous, excited for. And in the end of the day, it's just meeting genuine people. And he was just such a genuine guy. Him and Semi, his son, like such genuine people, and just helped me like enjoy the experience because that was my first time really on the set. And to do that film Out of Order, that was really cool to be around him and their genuine nature. So that was really cool. And then that's when it, like you said, it's like you said it perfectly, putting yourself in the room, and eventually it's just second nature. You're meeting another human being, and you know that, and it's crazy too when you said that before that you didn't like meet anyone like that till like you're 23. I didn't. I would not know the way you handled yourself throughout heavy hitters.
Oh, dude,
Beats me. Beats me.
lot
Had me
of
fooled.
yeah.
Yeah, like like you're just such again, like you're one of those like genuine people that it's like I remember talking to you right off the bat, and I was like, oh, Largenbull, genuine. Like, because there's always like you never know, just like anywhere you go, there's always like the backstabbers and then like those genuine people, and that was always something I was just like confused and nervous about when doing acting in general because I was like, I just want to meet someone genuine who wants to make a film, and I just want to be any role a part of it. That's it. Like, let's make this film. I'll drive wherever. I'll fly wherever. Let's go. If it's on my own dime, it's on my own dime. Let's do it. Boom,
Mhm.
be a part of it, and then move on and just help, do as much as I could.
Mhm.
So, like, meeting people who are genuine and have like really similar, like, yeah, very close intentions. It's like, oh, finally, like someone who has like a genuine nature like that.
Yeah, dude, thank you, bro. And it's kind of funny because I'm like I feel like not that I like it's like a strange obstacle that I want to experience because I've heard horror stories about meeting people. Like the sentiment of being like never
Like,
meet.
don't meet your heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, that
yeah.
kills me, dude. Like that is the worst. I'm just like because I want to at some point, live a life where we have people that look up to us and then we can be authentic and genuine, like you're saying, and people will look up to us and admire that so much and want to take and pull from different things that we emulate and certain values that we hold. And and yeah, I always was like, I kind of, because I've never really met the backstabbers, like not like honestly, I've only been doing this for, a few years now, right? But I'm like, it's almost like when I like get into the room and I meet someone, like I've only met one actor who was like genuinely like really, really, really challenging to work with, and it was on like a student film. And not that I want to surround myself with that, but I do genuinely believe, not just necessarily in the industry, but also just in life, is that when you kind of vibrate at a certain frequency, you start like manifesting and attracting the right people. Because, dude, like I would have never in a million years like thought this was gonna happen, but like being on set with predominantly all these guys, dude. And like the final day, like I've never gone around and said like I love you and received like other guys saying they love me like as much as that day and that moment. And I'm like, this isn't normal, Like I don't think people like
Nah.
in the industry would say this is like a thing, but I think we're like creating that. There's like a new wave of like genuity and kind of love for the craft. And I truly don't believe that you could always look at it as we are competing with each other for certain jobs, but I think the right person has the role, and it's such a more enjoyable experience to build a brotherhood, build friendships with fellow actors, and like work together than say it's me versus you, and like I'm not even going to talk to you, I'm going to like push you down. So I think we genuinely, like, this is such a small knit community of artists that we got to rise together. um but it's really cool, and again, being on set of Heavy Hitters, like there were so many good dudes, and it's a real blessing.
Yeah, no, no. Candy Cane created an army with that one. Like Ray always says, Frank Sinatra quote, and that's like jealousy. I forget it off the top of my head, but like jealousy is like the biggest thing that will get everyone killed. Like
Mm,
jealousy is the biggest thing that everyone, and that's the thing. Like everyone has their own. Like you have your own role in life and in what happens. Like is meant to be. So being on set of Heavy Hitters, I was just so happy. Like everyone's is here for their own reason, their own purpose. Let's enjoy every day. Like Candy really created this where we can do this for so long every day and tell the story.
mm.
So like, come on, like what could be more better than that? And yeah, the ones who just took it in, like that's what made me so emotional by the end because just hanging out with all the boys and just I was like, damn, we done. Like that's crazy. We wrapped up filming. You got to move on to the next. And no, I did not find that normal between other sets. Like, yeah, I'd be like, oh, damn, this one's done. But that one, I was like, oh man,
Mhm.
that one, yeah. Like going up to everyone, being like, yo, we got to make sure we get each other's like contact information. Like, let's all make sure we all hang out. That genuine love that was there for this production, and that was cool.
Yeah,
That was really something special because we even started that connection before we even started filming.
right, dude, which was wicked. And again, all testament to Candace for really building those bonds and creating those relationships. Because I think we felt it, on when we were shooting, but I think audiences will feel it when they're watching as well. Because sometimes there's this idea of like chemistry and like, is chemistry real? Can you like fake it? And like good actors, I think, can get by. But if you're
Mm.
in a scene and people are supposed to be in love or intimate or just like best friends, like you can't really. I don't think you can truly, truly like really fake that. There's like maybe it like plays a little bit, but like when it really plays and like there's something subconscious that people look and they believe that because those bonds are real. But I mean, also there is the reality where it's like the reality of our characters is we've all met for the first time. So it could have gone either way. But I think from just an enjoyment being together and like actually genuinely vibing with each other, always just makes a better set experience. And I think you create a better product with that as well. And I also believe that because there are going to be sets that we do get on as we continue our career where we're with longer days, like doing night shoots with like crew and cast and people navigate situations in different ways, dude. Where that love might not be there, that intentionality might not be there, that connection might not be there, that support might not be there. But I do believe, bro, like when we vibrate at a certain frequency, we'll start attracting that. And I think again, there's like a new wave. I think the idea of like I don't know, dude, where it's like back in the day, there was just like a lot of kind of assholes on set and like you could get away with it because you're talented and there weren't a lot of options. Now there's just so many talented people, whereas like if you're an asshole, like you're just not going to get the job, you know? And I
Mm,
think people are really kind of like um leading with more love and kindness because I think it's just again more enjoyable. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm finding more like-minded people as I'm starting to like be more authentic in myself and who I am. We start attracting more of those people. And it's coming. It's coming. So, dude, future's gonna be freaking epically bright for all of us, dude. And I'm so stoked to see where we kind of go from there. Um,
amen to
I found it
that.
like such a perfect bow to wrap this on, but I still have more questions, dude. Um, so acting, dude. You're a freaking light and so magnetic. And I saw that one video or clip you did that you put it on your Instagram. I'm like, dude, this kid's got the spark, bro. You got the spark. But I'm also curious because you had talked about yourself being a producer and a director and finding fascination behind the camera as well. And I mean, I've heard like McConaughey talk about like I don't think he'll get into directing. He just loves acting. I know there are people who love acting, but I don't know when you're like I feel like a true like real storyteller and like creative. I think at some point you get the itch to like get behind camera and like tell your story from your own perspective. So tell me about like what it means to you, how you got into directing and producing. Did that come from just being curious on set during that stillness, during that waiting time where you're like, I don't really know what to do. So you start asking questions and discovering about what different departments do? Or did you get opportunities to like pick up a camera and direct stuff when you were younger? How did that kind of come to fruition?
So directing definitely was more starting in college. Like it's something more that I want to do more down the road in the future. So I did a little web series. It was really short that we had to do for class. And when I did that, I know, a spark hit. I was like, oh, I like this. Just setting this up and telling the story, writing it and being able to shoot that narrative, that picture that's in my head, bring it to life. And so that was really cool. So I did that and I had a lot of fun with it. And pretty much after college, I did another production. It was called Mind Games. So I bring up Ray a lot. He was like pretty much one of my mentors after Bat Boy. Um, on top of because we always would continue doing Bat Boy throughout the years. The last production I think we did was last year though in Florida. So it was a minute since the last one, but yeah, we would be doing one or like 4 or 5 every year. So pretty much being with Ray a lot, and he would help me uh just do different productions. So he wanted to do this was during COVID. It was in 2020. We did a production. It was called Mind Games. The wedding videographer company I was working at, someone had a script. They just wanted to do it for fun. So we were putting it together. Essentially, some people were supposed to edit it, but in the end of the day, they couldn't edit it because work started picking up, X, Y, and Z, COVID stuff, and involving their business and work. So they had to do what they had to do. It makes sense. Um, but it was just something that we were all doing for fun on the side. And so they didn't have a director. They're like, hey, Carmine, direct this thing for us. And I was like, hey, I like being the actor. I don't want to like act because they asked me to act and direct in it. And I was like, I don't really know. Like, maybe I just directed and run rehearsals, take over. They're like, no, 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 just like directed and we're gonna start production tomorrow. So we'll have like this last meeting and let's do it. And I'm like, okay, like let's just have fun with it. So it was good. It was a lot of fun and a lot of pointers, a lot of ups and downs from that. And in the end of the day, just learned how to be a better director, what to do, what not to do. Um, one day on set, we were filming at Gino's Pastry Shop, and Chaz Palminteri comes in to go get some cannolis. So, friend of Ray and the owner Jerome. So all of a sudden, um, my friend Mark too. He's running the boom that day because he plays one of the actors in there. He went to college with me. We're like, no way, because Ray would always would bust everyone's balls. So he'd be like, hey, so John Travolta's coming here today. We're like, yeah, Ray, John Travolta's coming in today. Yep, we're gonna be filming, and John Travolta's gonna walk in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He'd be like, hey, 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 Al Pacino's coming in today, so we've got to be good today. I'm like, yeah, Ray, Al Pacino's gonna be here. Like, let's say we're about to do Bat Boy. Like, Al Pacino's here, guys, so be good. So just like stuff like that, he'll always like tease and mess around with people.
Yeah, and
But
was Chaz, was he in the Bronx Tale? Is that am I is that
yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sonny from the Bronx Tale. And all of a sudden, we're filming, and he goes, hey. uh, like our friend Chaz is coming over. We're like, yeah, me and my friend like, yeah, Ray, Chaz is coming through. He walks in. Damn, like, Ray, you were all right, fine. Like you won this time. So all of a sudden, it was awesome though. Like he fully made Chaz introduce himself to the whole cast and crew. And then after he just gave me a pointer as a director. He was like, when you direct, always make sure like the first take and the last take is always like what you want. And I was like, whoa, like that was like something interesting. At first I didn't know what he meant by that, but then I slept on it and I was like, ooh, just to, like make sure the first take and the last take is always how I like nothing's gonna be how you envision, of course. Like in your head you're gonna have it one way and then how it comes out is at least gonna be something a little different. But just to keep that vision of what you want for one take into the next, so when you transition it, it makes it smooth. And then you tell that story very smooth. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So that was cool. That definitely stuck with me ever since he said that. But that was something I got from that production. Even though that production we basically didn't have an editor for it. And so that inspired me to start editing because I was like, okay, I don't want to come across a situation ever again where there's no editor. So I would edit videos for Ray on his Instagram and different things. I have a video that I edited for Frankie Valley that was on his Instagram. Just different people, different things that would get posted, and it would be cool. Like I don't need to get credited for it or anything. I don't think I've ever, besides Ray's Instagram, Ray would throw me an app, but it's not about that for me. It's just like I want to learn how to edit.
Mhm.
So just to be able to finally learn to use Premiere, to use CapCut, to use DaVinci, all these different programs, learn how to use them properly, and yeah, do these different jobs has been great. So then after moving on, I moved on to Bat Boy, the play. I would eventually start directing it.
Mhm.
So the story I would tell, I would get together with the actors and run the scenes for the rehearsals. The producers would set up everything else. Like you could set up what you guys want to do in the front, the announcements before, everything like that. You guys set up. I'll do the acting though. Like I love the acting stuff. So directing the actors, going to the venue the day of and working with the sound crew and the lighting crew and running the rehearsals live and just making sure the different cues that have to happen. And then yeah, it's always a thrill because it's always like some doing live shows. There's always a little hiccup here and there, and then it's like you got to run over and be like, "Oh, what can we do right now to make this happen?" Like, come on. So
Mhm.
that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Did you
yeah, that. Mm.
did you find like a big jump or a big difference between directing film versus directing theater? I mean, you did grow up in theater, but was that a challenge for you or did it feel more at home to you?
Yeah, I like directing film. I feel as though this is different. It's really just different. Sitting behind the camera and just being able to set up the shots and tell your story from the narrative with the script, and you have as much shots as you want to do with it. That's always a lot of fun. I shot one short recently that I edited. I never posted it yet, but I have it in the draft somewhere where I like did all the sounds and everything. It was called A Good Day. So I want to post it very soon, though. You're actually definitely inspiring me to post that.
Yeah.
But I got it in the drafts and I just did it for fun. I was like, I wanted to film, I wanted to direct, and I wanted to edit. And it was my first because after Mind Games, we didn't have the editor and that up and down. I was like, you know what? Let me wear all the hats and do everything for production and see how I like it.
Hmm.
So I wrote a very short script for my friends. I think it was only like 6 pages. And I was like, can you guys play these roles? We set it up. I did the props. I did everything for it. Filmed just to see what it was like. And it was fun. And I was like, okay. And this is what I liked. This is what I didn't like. This is what I would need help with. All that. Just like I journaled. And I was like, okay. And now I have a better mindset of like, if I wanted to direct in the future, what I need
Hmm.
and what I love to do and all that. So that was really cool. And now I'm producing for Ray's documentary. That's the main thing. We're shooting a documentary for Ray for like the past 3 to 4 years, I would say. So that's been a lot. My main thing is I would just go and I would get interviews. So I would get some shots of mic up people and do different interviews. It's been crazy the amount of people that we have to tell his
Hmm.
story. It's just a matter of, like you said, like you got to tell it. It's how you tell it. You got to tell it right, and that's the main focus of what our main Bill O'Connell. He's working and directing the whole thing, so he's been telling it from a great. He's a good friend of Ray, so he's been telling it from a good very
Mhm.
good perspective. So I love the narrative he's been telling.
Dude, that is awesome, bro. And I'm stoked to see where this creative space takes you, dude. And how did you, because I remember for me, again, dude, I was like, I didn't make the decision to start pursuing acting until like 2021. And I remember the very specific date just because I didn't know what else I honestly wanted to do. And I had a little taste of it. And I was like, I want to follow this muse. But I remember when I was younger, even before I had any idea what I wanted to do, um, just remember telling my dad, I'm like, the last thing I want to do is like sit behind a desk the rest of my life, you know?
Mm,
And there's something infectious and contagious and exciting and thrilling about this circus life, you know? And the twists and turns where tomorrow, like our lives could generally get thrust into this crazy direction, and then we fall back down here, and like we're living down here, and then we go over here, and it's just this is a circus, you know? And it's so it's hard to even articulate, and it's hard to articulate to people who don't experience it kind of on the day to day. Um, did you know that like that kind of lifestyle was something that you were attracted to? Because the highs are so high, but the
mm.
lows can get pretty low, you know, versus like you get that steady kind of paycheck. You know what those hours are going to look like. You know what that progression from promotion is going to look like. You know what life is going to look like in like 30, 40, 50 years. But it's so ambiguous and enigmatic and unknown is what we're doing. So did you know when you were younger that that was like attracted? Do you love that? Do you hate that? Like how do you sit with that?
Yeah, definitely is like one of the biggest parts that I hate. Like I felt when I was done with college, I was just diving into the deep end. Everyone who's graduating from college is on the same playing field here where we kind of just did nothing and just filmed bits and clips and videos here and there, but we're all on the same playing field, just trying to all dive into this industry and close that. You still hear me, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, just to dive in and just all be a part and tell all these different stories on different calibers. And obviously, we everyone wants to work on the highest caliber just so we can all do it more consistently and just do it with a solid foundational living and not have to worry about our day to day. That's the main like thing. Everyone doesn't want to worry about that. But when you're in this part of your life, you're really just like, okay, I want to be an actor. Let's do as much as I can, but I need to also balance it out with work to make sure I'm getting by every day. You can't not ever fall in a situation where you don't, because then a low could get low. And it's yeah, that's where like lows can get bad. So you got to make sure just to find that equilibrium there with that balance there. But it's just yeah, the I like how you said it's like a circus, everything that's going on, and that's definitely true. Like you never know what's going to happen. For example, I love the college I went to. I went to the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. When I went there, they they all teachers advise different things in different ways, but just all essentially just saying to look out for yourself and different ways too, and how to navigate this industry. That there is a set way that you can work hard and go about it, and yeah, so pretty much I realized that like working on Out of Order, I was an extra. I went there just to work as background, which I didn't mind. I wanted to just see a set. I never been on a full professional set. I heard of the actors that were potentially going to be on the project. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I just want to see it. Like I just want to see them. Like I learned about it at school. I did it at school, but I want to be on a more professional grade set. And it was so cool because all of a sudden I'm just taking it all in. I'm there for a week as a background for the scene. And all of a sudden, as I'm there, I get approached and they're like, hey, we need someone to play this role.
Mhm.
And I read the script because I needed to uh I had to give Ray. He needed to do some lines in the a jury scene. So I gave him his lines, but I went through the script because I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, let me like see what we're filming here. So all of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, you read the script, you know this part. Like, cool. Like, can you get in an outfit and do this right now?" I was like, "Yeah." So big shout out to Anton, and that just happened just by being on set as an extra. The previous 2 days before that, I was just talking to the cast and crew members because you just that's it. You be meeting genuine people like we were talking about before. And Anton came from California, and we're just chopping it up about life and he was the one that was approached to go up to an actor to see if someone can play the part. And then that's when he approached me, and I was like, wow, like see, like you never know how like that was so like beautiful because like we had conversations, and I said, I'm an actor. I'm trying as much as I can. I just need opportunities and stuff, but it's hard out here. I told him that earlier this week, like that week, and then he listened. He heard me and gave me an opportunity. And it's like finding people who actually listen to you and stuff like that, just and give you that opportunity and that shot. So I'm very grateful to him, to Anton, and that was actually the first production I worked on with Anthony from Heavy Hitters, who also worked on Heavy Hitters.
Yeah.
Alrighty, yeah, Anthony, yeah, alrighty. So, he was on that production as well, and all of a sudden, he was just such a ball of energy too. When I was doing that role, he's like, "All right, Carmine's doing this role, playing the role." I'm like, "Wow, like let's go!" So, and he was a ball of energy, and to work with him on Heavy Hitters again, that's when you start to see, because everyone at school was saying, "Oh, it's a small world, everyone knows each other," and like you're at school, you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I wonder how. And then all of a sudden you're working with Anthony for two productions. You're like, this is amazing. Like, I
Mm,
loved Anthony and working on him in the last production. So
yeah.
finding good, genuine people, and that's it. That's just, I was so stoked.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
The synchronicities are undeniable, I feel like, in
Mm.
industry. And dude, there's just a magic, and I believe truly, like as actors, we thrust ourselves into the deep, dark unknown, and I truly believe that miracles only exist in the unknown. Like they don't,
Mm.
miracles don't happen when you know what it's gonna look like, because it wouldn't be a miracle, you know. And which was why this industry can be dangerous, because we're constantly living in that space, and it's almost like we're gambling, consciously. But dude, there's so many opportunities for so much magic, like big magic to happen. Did a last podcast kind of about big magic, and there's something super spiritual, I feel like, about this industry and about the actors and just I think the artist journey, dude. And it's weird. It's like a weird thing to again. Like I try to, my dad's very analytical and he's very numbers driven, and to try to convince someone that this is what you want to do when they look at the numbers and are just infinitely like this is like the worst thing you could ever do in your life, because
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
number is against you, you know?
Yeah.
But there has to be
Yeah.
this like there's this thing, there's like this nudge, there's this voice in the back of your head that's just nudging you along. It's like this energy magnetic force that's like pulling you towards this thing, because I don't know, man, maybe it's a calling. I don't know what it is, bro, but it's like I think we all kind of got that, and like having deep belief in yourself is non-negotiable, I feel like, at this point, dude. And I'm just freaking stoked to have met you, bro. And I'm just like, I'm excited to see where the journey leads you, dude. From as an actor, as a producer, as a storyteller, as a director, like the stories. And that's one of when I started this and started my pursuit in this craft. It was really, I know how hard it's going to be, or I don't know, but I have an idea as to how hard it's going to be. And I want to make sure that my foundation and my why and my reasons are strong enough. And I just believe in the power of storytelling, and like so many people have so many amazing stories to tell. And like again, like you said, back in theater, we can put a smile on someone's face. We can bring strangers together. We can bring them to tears. We can get them to reflect and educate them, and they can relate unto their lives and bring, in essence, a different energy into like their lives and into their relationships, which is like I've experienced that personally. And I just, dude, it's like it's one of those things where it's like the pandemic was happening, and like every actor is like, what I do is inconsequential. Like there are people on the front lines that are doing, work that's saving lives, and people are doing important work, but I'm just an actor. I just play pretend, and I dress up, and I say these lines, I do these things. But I don't know, man. I think this is a pretty, I don't know how our, civilization survives without storytellers and without, people doing that work, and having vulnerable, real performances and connecting on a deeper level. And I'm stoked to see where it brings you, bro. And I'm a fan, and I'm gonna be in your corner, bro.
Yo, and you too, like truly, like you're very articulate and very driven and so unbelievably passionate. And it's like with that, like that's it. And you're so genuine too. And with the combination of all that, it's like, bro, like that's gonna get you so far. And bro, I believe in you. Like I believe in Larkin. Like, come on, dude. Like, yeah, you gotta like go for it. Like I get it. Like shit gets tough. Like shit's gonna hit the fan. Shit just gonna get like, oh, should I even do this right now? Like, oh, I gotta do this. Like, I got bills to pay. I got, oh no, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting the roles that I want. Maybe you're not going as far as you like. Maybe you're working for a union card and you're just not getting it, or an agent and it's not happening. Who knows? But whatever the situation is, it's like there's gonna be their rough moments. But if you just stay driven and just don't care and just like, okay, this is a part of life and tomorrow's a new day. If you just move on day by day, like that's the best thing. Like just auditioning every day. If you're someone like I know you, like you're driven, so it's like you're auditioning every day, seeing what you could do, doing self tapes, and boom. Like this podcast is such a great thing to get your voice out there each and every day. Like I wish I had the idea to do something like that. I don't do anything like my own podcast. I like engineering podcasts, but to get on the camera and just talk for the whole time, I don't know. I'd rather act and tell a story, tell someone's story. That's at least where I come from. So even telling my story, I'm like, ooh, this is new. I like this.
Yeah, dude,
This is interesting. This is interesting.
and I will
New
say,
experience.
because I've done I think I've done over 100 podcasts now, and in the very beginning, it was really just all the books I'd read, all the things I've learned, and the life experiences that I've kind of culminated over the years. I just want to pour that into these podcasts, and either just 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 30 minutes here. I didn't start doing kind of interviews and bringing friends on until like halfway through this past year, and the what I found, dude, it's as like a performer and an actor, because I like growing up as an athlete, that was like the predominant force of my life. Your instrument, like your voice, was never at the forefront. It was your body. It was like your physical body, but and you could always speak, but it wasn't unless you're really like I guess a public speaker or an actor or a singer where your voice is really the main instrument. You work on articulating. And through my studies and through taking classes, I realized that my articulation was so bad, dude. Like my consonants were constantly slurring, and I used to do like speech therapy when I was a little kid. And doing podcasting, you do the same thing? Yeah, dude.
No, yeah.
Doing podcasting, bro,
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
I listen to myself back. There are times like you're talking about, oh man, I'm saying like too much. I'm constant. It's just practice, bro. It's just practice. Like I'm catching because I still use filler words a lot. Sometimes I go really fast. And I'm like, if I'm listening to myself, I'm not. It's hard to listen because you're talking so fast, and then slowing down is really interesting to listen to. And how do you like sometimes if I just listen to someone, they're saying a certain thing, but the undertone of it, like energetically, is saying something very different. Like it's not very aligned.
Mhm.
And I just look at all of this because I love performing and I would want to put on a mask any day of the week. But there's something about this where it's as if I'm practicing for interviews, which is that space that we want to get in. So it's almost like a step in the manifestation process to be like talking about ourselves, sharing our stories, hopping on here is what we are going to do as actors, as
Yes, yes.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
start that
at
podcast.
school they always said like when you go to an audition, that's your work because once you get the job, you're on vacation. You got the role. Now you can sit back, enjoy the role, read the script, do everything you love to do about this craft. And which is again, finding people who actually love this craft is another amazing thing. And yeah, you get to just sit back and do that. So the audition is the biggest thing going into the room and having being able to sit down and have a conversation with somebody is huge. Sometimes I find myself choking up being like, "Ugh." I do that all the time. And that's such a good thing to do this podcast is you're doing it over and over and over again, eliminating those bad habits.
Mhm.
And dang, and do you ever listen back on them too, just to maybe certain moment?
Dude, I
Well, no, a
struggle.
lot of people don't listen back
It's
on their
weird.
stuff. That makes sense. I don't
Yeah,
really listen back on
bro, it's
like
weird
podcasts that I do in the past.
because sometimes I'm like, all right, Andrew, I know what I said. I'm not really taking it from that. I think I could do more, and I could act like you're an
Sure.
athlete. You're watching tape. That's all it is. Like we're watching tape of ourselves. And
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. I mean, as an actor, bro, we at the heavy hitters like holiday party. You know, there weren't a ton of people that went, but we went and we saw a rough cut of episode 2, and me and Mark are like, bro, I don't want to watch it, dude. I'm like. Because I don't actually know how I am as an actor to like watch my own myself perform. Because I've heard the best actors in the world where it's like, dude, it is one of the most incredible performances, and they can't watch themselves do it. And then there are some people that kind of love watching themselves. And I
And
found
you never went to school for acting.
no
Sorry to cut you off.
acting classes, like 2 acting classes when I was in college.
Right. You want if you have the love for it, you have the love for the craft, which is
Mhm.
all like you is what you have. Like you don't need like that's it. You take the classes, you do that, and you do. Bro, I would say, you got to just trust your. Oh, you watched it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience because you're kind of feeling all
Yeah,
the
yeah, tell me. Yeah, yeah.
and I found for me because I had I'm not like new to watching myself. Like I would make funny, stupid videos and I would post them on there, but I edited them and I knew what every frame and everything looked like before it other people saw, you know? So I'm like, I accept this. I love this. I'm gonna put this out in the world. However people receive it, that's okay because I know what it's gonna be. And I know how it makes
Mm,
this, it's different because I did like, we did a whole episode and but each take, each scene, you do like five, three, four, five different takes and I don't always go back, I don't really go actually see the monitor, so I don't really see the print finished product. So it's really just you got to trust the director, right? Make sure we got it. Like we're not leaving until we got it.
yep.
But there's still something in me where it's like I don't know what it looked like, and it all comes together. And this is the first time I'm seeing it, and it's like a very vulnerable experience. So that first watch is always kind of weird, but it was pretty cool because there were scenes where I kind of forgot what we did. And after Heavy Hitters, dude, I couldn't sleep some nights because I'm thinking about all the things I could have done or should have done or didn't do or like all of that. And I've been just meditating and pounding my brain against the wall with like three or four scenes. But then there's all these other scenes that I just kind of forgot about, and it was really refreshing and cool to see. And then also just I think the biggest joy was seeing everyone else's scenes, because I wasn't there that day and seeing everyone work and seeing kind of the whole thing come together, and kind of the choices that everyone makes was as again an actor watching other actors work, it was pretty cool. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I think watching yourself is very informative and I think it's like an important step towards growth because you can be more specific about the choices you make. And then also film, it's super technical, dude. Whereas like I listen to Michael Caine talk about you gotta look into this eye, into like that thing. It's very like was I open to the camera? Like what was my body posture? Like what was I doing with my hands or my face? There's so many things that you can kind of break down and you can look at it and be like, that's a good performance, but there's always things that I think you can improve upon. And it's not unless you actually tackle it and address it and look at it and then fine tune it where you can really make those changes. So it was a journey.
Yeah, you brought up two like solid points. Like me more in high school doing the theater shows that we were doing, every time a show ended, it was like, damn, I can't wait till next year for us to do the next musical or till fall till we do our next show that we have coming up. Like you're always excited for the next one. So with film and doing like, yeah, film now is just the same thing. You get that a little more too because you don't work on set for as long too sometimes as like you're doing a show, you might be running for 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For a film, you might be just needed for 2, 3 days. So you never know. Could be the same duration too, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
So that's always a big difference. So in between, yeah, in between films, it's always just like a downer. It's like, damn, we're done. I wish we were still doing it. Like, come on.
But bro, there's something
And mm,
There's something beautiful about theater where I feel like you squeeze out everything about that performance. You make all those choices during the rehearsal process, and then you have those two, three, however long period to continue to explore and continue to play. And then sometimes in film, it's like you go and all right, there's a choice I want to make here, and I think this is the right one. And then you're given like another take, but it's also with film, it's like continuity. So you kind of have to do the same thing. So there's almost like a limitation where it's like, and then that's when I'm like sitting in stillness and I'm reflecting. I'm like, I wish I played this. I wish I did that because I feel like there's more room to play. Whereas in theater, I think you explore a lot more, unless you have the luxury of doing like 50 takes, and
absolutely. And that's why I fell in love with watching takes. At first, hated it. Anytime when we were in school, other people had to go. If I was tired from that week or whatever, I might be nodding out a little bit. Not to be disrespectful to them. I was just tired. But I'm
Mhm.
like, oh no, I gotta watch takes. I always hated it. But then I was like, come on, Carmen, like every single take that you watch, if it's yours, if it's someone else's, there's something that you can take from it. So what are you doing? Not now or doing something like that. So then I took in every single time and I was like, damn, every single take, even if it's not even your own. I love going behind the monitor and just watching the scene. And then it's like, oh, okay, you see that little thing that happened here, that happened there. Let's not do that next time. Or to see, oh, that's really good. Like, oh, they decided to do that. Like, that was great. That looked very like genuine. All this good and bad stuff that you see every single time. Every single take is a new take. And just watching all them over and over, it's like nice. Whenever I see myself on camera, I'm always like, oh boy, here we go. So it's always like a little reaction out of that. But I always try to sit through it. Like, let's just say I hear my voice. I'm like, oh, I sounded annoying there. But maybe someone else is like, oh, that came off genuine. So
Mm,
you never know. Everyone has different perspectives on everything, but just to watch yourself over and over again is annoying. But if you
mhm.
get once you get by that, eventually you're like, okay, I got to watch myself like I watch anybody else, and just see, do I like that? Do I hate that? What did I do good? What did I do bad? And just move on.
Yeah, it's a great practice to kind of like extinguish the ego because it's all ego at the end of the day. And I think we're all our worst, critics. But it's
Yeah,
always ends up somebody was
that's
like,
that.
I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing there? Like, I don't like my delivery there. It's like, oh no, dude, like I love that. That was great. So I think that happens a lot. So I think we kind of conflate the drama and like our ego loves the drama of doing all that stuff. But I think especially, I mean, dude, this industry is hard enough. Like we can be nicer on ourselves, and all that good stuff. But brother, dude, we are reaching towards the end, dude. I'm gonna have to come into Long Island. We're gonna have to grab a bite to eat one.
No way. Oh, yo, well, we're gonna talk after this podcast. But I've always said you're always more than what whenever you'd want. Whenever any opportunity you're in New York, Long Island, you have a free spot to stay at. Always free food. Come through whenever. I
Dude, where?
got you. We'll talk after.
Yeah, we'll talk
Hmm?
about that.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
we'll talk. We'll talk.
So as we reach the end of this, we talked about the past a little bit. We talked about the present. Diving in the future. Now, I have a mixed bag of feelings about this because I've done this. I'm always like, what are your dreams and goals and ambitions? Get specific, yeah, yeah. But I
Mm,
really kind of love the idea of grinding in silence and not necessarily like telling the world this is what I'm doing. It's like you grind in silence and then you do the thing and then people see that and then you can kind of talk about it. So I'm gonna leave this up to your kind of interpretation. Like if you had a vision board for 2025 or the next couple years or the next week, the next month, it could be colors, it could be feelings, it could be certain gigs that you want to attract, or it could just be what do you have on the horizon like tomorrow or next week or in the upcoming months. All right, apologies for the technical difficulties. 2025 new year, a lot of crazy energy in the air, man. I don't know what's going on, but I think it was my Wi-Fi router, but we are good. We are back.
nah, I heard about these UFOs and these drones. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe give me something about that. I don't know.
doggy dog, it's happening. It's real, and it's gonna be more revealed in 2025, dude. It's gonna happen. I'm low-key excited. I'm like ready for it, dude. I need something to spice up my life. The industry, actually, no, the industry is good enough with that. But all right, let's dive in. So we talked about the past, we talked about the present. Now let's dive into the future a little bit. I think we still caught the beginnings of kind of the initial question, but if you have a vision board of the future. It could be next week, it could be the next month, the next 6 months, the next year, the next 2 years, 5 years. It could be specific things, or it could just be colors or feelings or things that you want to attract into your life. Or it could just be what do you have on the horizon that to kind of look forward to in this year. So, however you want to answer that question, give it a rip.
Mm, I like that question. I'm saying the main thing for me is always to take it day by day.
Mm,
Every day, you never know. You wake up one day, there's a brand new opportunity that you weren't even thinking of the following day, let alone last week, last month, last year. All of a sudden, something's put right in front of you, sent to your email, sent as a text. Someone gives you a call, and they're like, "Hey, I heard about this audition. Maybe you should go down to it, X, Y, and Z." And those things that pop up and being spontaneous and living in the moment with that has always been just such a big thing. And I think definitely doing that more in 2025, just anything in the moment that comes up and just being able to pivot and adjust and make it happen, I think is definitely a huge goal. And for, yeah, just for working in the industry too, that's like just so key to
mm,
just be a part of as many productions as I could, just to help storytell. That's It's just a beautiful thing. And yeah, just to be a little more aggressive with everything I do too. I feel like 2025 got to bring a little more aggression with it. Just make sure you're knocking down those doors and doing what you got to do to make all this happen, because
mm.
it is a dream that we're all trying to live out, and we said how hard it could be and everything, and just to fight for what we believe in is just the main thing this year.
Yeah, man, bringing the fire. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. All right,
Um,
as we wrap this thing up, to be an official podcast, we got some final rapid fire questions. There are a bunch
oh,
of random ones. Some are super, super deep and genuine and
mhm.
authentic, and then some are just kind of goofy. But I'm always
Let's
curious.
do it.
So, I'm gonna start off pretty deep. At this particular moment in time, what would you say brings you, Carmine, the most joy?
Oh, the most joy is definitely being with my family. Enjoying my PS5.
Hey,
And
what's your game? What's your game right now? What's your game right now?
my game, MLB The Show. Definitely running Diamond Dynasty. Definitely been running that up a little bit. I haven't been playing that too much before, but just started that recently, and I like building up my team. That's been fun.
Mhm.
But between that and Cyberpunk, it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely gaming a little bit and being with my family. Family's all a bunch of fun gamers too, and through games they tell stories, and yeah, do we just love that all? Love all the food. Yeah, that's the main thing. Food, PlayStation, and family.
Awesome. What if you could add one food for the rest of your life and you couldn't have anything else? What would it be?
So crab legs.
Oh, okay, good answer. Good answer.
Mm.
What are your top three or four values?
Oh man, a trusting person, someone who is very genuine, someone who is very loyal, and someone who's very caring.
It's very nice. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. What is your spirit animal? Yeah,
Mm, monkey.
very nice. Very nice.
Mm.
What or who was your celebrity crush?
Oh man, Scarlett Johansson.
Good answer. Good
Yeah.
answer. What is a comfort film? I usually say what's your favorite film, but that's always I think an impossible question. I kind of like the idea of a comfort film more. So just like your
For-
favorite. It doesn't have to be the best film in the world, but it's just one that just always makes you feel good.
Like I'm gonna throw it on, and I'm like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be. The first movie that came to mind was Elf, just because I feel like I watched that recently though, because it was
Hmm.
Christmas. So I'm gonna go with Elf though, because that was recent. That's like the comfort Christmas one.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time, big time. Who is a creative, um, like someone in the space, whether it's a director or an actor or producer, anyone in the creative space, or a musician, like you said, Frankie Valli, that you look up to that is maybe or mentors, but someone that maybe you haven't met that you really admire and look up to.
Yeah. Martin Scorsese.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
New York.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It
it's
would be
good.
great to work with him. I love all his films and everything like that. And just how he directs films is a way that inspires me to direct films. So
What's the
yeah.
top Marty film?
Goodfellas.
Good answer. Good answer. What is this is a two-part question. What is your favorite genre of film? And then what is your dream role? It could be the same thing or they could be different. Like the dream role in that genre, or it could be separate.
Yeah. Say my favorite genre, comedy. And then my dream role would to just be like a big supporting character in an action film.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I love action. I have some background with film combat for the camera and stage combat from
Yeah.
college and from high school. So that would be cool just to yeah, I love action and comedy. Comedy's just
You're the
love
comedian
making people
and
laugh.
the action supporting role. You be baller. You be baller. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. Manifesting 2025. All right, we're gonna get real deep here. So you did everything that you wanted to do in this life. You freaking absolutely balls to the wall. It's just like created the stories, the impact, the family, all the values. Everything was just chef's kiss. But your time on this earth, in this realm, on this plane has passed, and people are at your funeral. What do you want people to say about you? What do you want to leave behind?
Damn, morbid. But I want, when I'm there, damn, I want everyone emotional. I want everyone in their feels a little bit, being like, wow, like just like we always had good connections, like good vibes whenever we were together, and just like having separate moments with each person that like stuck with each person that made our relationship impactful would be nice. And then I want everyone to get shit faced and celebrate.
Yeah,
'Cause life goes on, baby. That's it. I don't
yeah.
want them to be thinking about it every day. Just I'll be an angel up there looking over everybody,
Mm,
rocking with them. So they got
yeah,
to move on. That's it.
beautiful, man, beautiful. And finally, um, let's say there's a kid out there, whether they're 11 or 16 or just graduated college and they want to be an actor, they want to be in the industry, they want to be an artist, and they're kind of going through a tough little patch of life right now. what is some life advice or just advice in general that you would give to someone who's trying to navigate um, being an artist in today's world?
Like, as much as call myself, well, I am an actor working every day, and we're working actors. On top of that, like we all don't wake up and we're DiCaprio one day. Like one day, like hope we all hope like to wake up and
Mhm.
be working consistent, but you got to work hard at it. So just to keep that mentality of, listen, if you want to do this is something that you're passionate about and you love it and you're dreaming of it, as you're working every day, definitely find what you have to do every day just to work and get by. But on top of that, do local theater, do local any student productions that come up, do them, be a part of all of them. It doesn't matter if they're gonna pay you nothing and they're just around the corner. So it's just a quick drive and you could do it for free. Or if maybe you're getting paid X, Y, and Z to do a production, if you care, you care. So much as we're all trying to make a living, if you care, you'll do it for nothing. You'll do it for a little, whatever the case is. So do any opportunity that comes your way and just do it nonstop and meet all these great people who are also trying to do the same thing. And just talking with them, networking is the biggest thing. Just talking. You never know who you're going to talk to who one day has an audition and they're like, hey, you actually need someone that looks like you or who sounds like you want to come down and see if you can do it. And if you're that person who's ambitious and will go do all that, that's key. Like that will make a successful person. But if you're not trying to do it and you're trying to do it for fun every now and then and do it like that. And you also never know where it's going to take you because again, maybe you might wake up one day, you might be DiCaprio. You might all of a sudden do that one local theater show and someone's there and they're bringing you up to the big leagues and you never know what's going to happen. So really taking it one day at a time and just being grateful for any opportunity put in your lap. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, my dude. Dude, I appreciate
Oh,
you so freaking much. Let the audience know where can we find you? Where can we support you on this journey of life?
oh man, well you can catch me on Instagram, Carmine CIRO 23. That's my Instagram. That's the main thing I'm on. You can also catch me Carmine CIRO Cheeto. That's my middle name, Carmine Cheeto Elvezio on IMDb. You can see some films that are up and coming, may be coming out soon. So stay tuned to check out when they're all coming out and to support and show love. And if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, yeah, that's the spot. I'm local in New York, Long Island, baby, but I have a car. I'll drive any and anywhere to make it happen. So, amen.
Awesome. My friends, you heard it here first, dude. I'm excited to see where this crazy, 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 amazing, beautiful life takes you, dog. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for being on here, man.
Hey, you're the man. Thank you so much for having me. You're the best, man. Much love.